Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Todd Foley, Chief Digital Officer and CISO with Lydonia, an AI solutions company. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Shruti Sharma, Data Delivery Team Leader for Analytics, Insights, and Automation at Philips. Shruti, hello.
Hi, Todd. I'm happy to be part of this conversation. I've been associated with others who've been contributing to CDO magazines here in Nashville and in other places. So I'm very excited to be part of this conversation and humbled at the same time.
Shruti, I'd love to start by hearing a bit more about you and your role at Philips.
We support primarily commercial operations and a lot of reporting analytics that sits or stands on the shoulders of giants, as I tell my team. So when we do our job right, the business is able to make more meaningful decisions. They can rest more securely on those facts. So that we're the hidden or the underlying layer that lifts when it comes to applications, when it comes to reporting and analytics, specifically for North America commercial sales.
Got it. That's a lot of hats, right? Just from your title, data delivery, analytics, insights, automation. That's a lot of different areas of not just technology, but also, dealing with the business in different ways.
Right. And Todd, I mean, you and I, we both know data is a team sport. You don't do it by yourself. And so I'm not doing things all by myself. I already have a tool delivery partner. We've got product teams that support us. So there are a lot of players in this whole landscape as we're building data products.
So would you say it takes a village to build data products?
It takes a village to build data products. You couldn't have said it better. It takes a village to keep analytics thriving. Nothing exists in isolation. Not the data, not the code, not the people, none of it.
I think it takes a lot of us some time to realize how important those things are. Maybe you could give us some background on just your journey, as a data professional. What got you into this space originally, and how has your perspective on what you have to do in your role and what's critical changed over time?
So I feel like I have a non-traditional entry into technology and data.
Yeah.
I have a PhD in cellular biochemistry. I've always been motivated by the possibility of creating meaningful impact, pushing the boundaries of what's known. And initially, I did that using research, studying protein folding, membrane transport, and a lot of basic life science work for a decade. And as I was working through those things, in the best case scenario, it would take at least a few decades for that work to impact, like make a tangible impact in someone's life.
Right.
And I wanted something that had more of like an immediate gratification. Right? I still deeply have a huge respect for that work. I just realized that I needed something to keep me engaged, something that had like a faster turnaround time. And I came across analytics as how empowering it could be. Being exposed to some of exceptional presentations by Ron Hasling, and the way his work using some of visualizations and how he contextualized economic data, which is often considered so dry, for stakeholders and decision makers in a way that completely changed how the world looked at poverty and intervention and health. So that was very fascinating for me. And for me, it was a turning point almost. And that's something that I still keep going back to when it comes to data. And Philips, with time, I've been what I consider myself like this whole continuum of data and products. I started as an application developer, done a bit of data modeling, upskilled with data science, and I've been part of teams, led efforts throughout this whole continuum, right? So I feel like I'm in some ways Jack of all trades, or Jill, if if you make that. And then approaching things with like open curiosity and solving problems rather than like I embrace wholeheartedly the rookie label and the rookie mindset. So having that kind of curiosity and intellectual humility to approach whatever is in front of us. So that's been my journey so far.
I think you're right. I think that's a very non-traditional path in a number of ways, right? To go from molecular biology and being a research scientist to being in data and analytics, and doing so because of the immediate gratification aspect, which traditionally hasn't been a huge part of data and analytics, though nowadays it is all about real-time data and immediate insight. But that's a journey for sure. And you have a breadth of background in the data space. How has that intellectual curiosity, that sort of taking the same types of pursuit that you'd had as a scientist, and then applying it as a data scientist, and then engaging with the business to give them their own immediate gratification and insight from analytics, that's quite a journey. How do you engage with the business to meet them that way, to share that mindset, and to get them not only to work with you and to appreciate the efforts of your teams, but also there's trust and persuasion involved in that, right? Not both with the business and with your own data teams. Can you tell me a little bit about how you do that?
I think building trust is extremely important within your teams and within your partners, within your stakeholders, at all levels. And it's one of the things that's easily broken. And it takes forever to build. So some things that I think have helped me or helped my teams in my experiences to be more open, create visibility for your processes, for your decisions, for your path when it comes to roadmaps and all of that. When people know more, they're more aware of the context within which you're operating or within which you're making decisions. They see where you're coming from. Be open and engage others in where they're going and find synergy wherever possible in our respective journeys. So when we make a mistake, and that happens, whether it is a human mistake, whether it is some kind of an integration oversight, whether it is some change in a business process that didn't get communicated effectively or efficiently, be the first to raise your hand and let people know proactively. Something blipped, we are aware of it, and we are working to fix it, and we'll keep you in the loop as we work through it. A lot of times, my partners or business counterparts have come back and told me how important it was for them that we were forthcoming with whatever happened. And that's an opportunity to build trust, because most people have a difficult relationship with things happening behind the scenes. They really rather would know. And these things happen. Mistakes get made. If you're not making any mistake, the surest way of not making a mistake is to do nothing, which in itself is a biggest mistake. But, like I really think having, being forthcoming and admitting your mistakes is a big way to build trust.
So I think what's interesting is obviously in your role in what your teams do, it's based on data, right? But data itself doesn't necessarily always engender trust, in that there can be discrepancies in data, there can be challenges, and sometimes there's just people interpret data a little bit differently.
And sometimes when we are getting into certain conversations, I do point out certain things is that data is a proxy, a messenger, if you must, of whatever is happening at the ground level. So be very mindful of only scrubbing the data. Really embrace the discrepancies you see, figure out where they come from. Again, in some ways, it goes back to creating visibility for it, right? So tracking lineage, making that more visible to teams, having good definition around KPIs and terms that we use. Because there are sometimes very legitimate reasons for marketing team to use a certain terminology and for like an operational team to use a certain terminology, and there are reasons why the numbers need to be different. So it's important to have a common vocabulary when you're talking about something. We can't assume that we know what the other team is talking about. So some of it comes down to creating visibility and engaging within the context rather than fixating on a number.
Well, you mentioned trends. I think there's probably no more volatile area these days than in the data and the analytics space, with everything that's going on with AI. And in that kind of volatility, it's really tough to keep cohesive, high-performing teams together, right? And to give them kind of consistent vision, so that you continue to deliver to the business effectively. How do you manage that volatility? How do you keep your teams cohesive and high-performing?
I think there is so much work that has happened in the space of creating really performant teams. And while it continues to evolve with each generation, the fundamentals, I think, largely remain the same. You've got to create a space where there's psychological safety, where people are empowered and they feel safe and heard and seen when they want to raise their hand, when they want to express a differing point of view. Because there's no point in having really smart people with diverse point of views if they don't feel empowered to bring their wisdom and share it with the rest of the team. So sometimes it's important to pause and see if you're hearing dissent. Productive dissent is central to innovation. It's even more important than you're creating consensus in many ways. Productive dissent is something that I hold really close to my heart, and psychological safety goes really hand in hand with both these things, because that's if you've got these factors play out, you're really able to use the collective wisdom of your entire team. And sometimes it really helps to also differentiate between, or let people know, this is our discussion phase. Let's bring our ideas. Let's bring what you think to the table. And at some point, you're going to have to tell them, now we are in our decision phase. We're going to be making certain calls. And for better or for worse, a lot of times when there's a fork in the road is because there is an imperfect choice to be made. There isn't a clear good and a bad choice. And at that point, I think it's on you as a leader. And then you make that work, or you pivot once you have more data or more insight. But I mean, that decision rests on you as a leader, good or bad.
Thank you for joining me today. For those who are listening to this, for more interviews and insights, please visit cdomagazine.tech. And Shruti, thank you. It's truly been a pleasure.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks so much.